This is just a reference video for us later in case we need it. So I did the carb on this 3510 Gehl, and then this little breather cap. It's a really, I don't know if it's a fancy one or what, but it's got 2 ports or whatever, and I guess they use it on a lot of foreign vehicles. And the rubber thing's supposed to go there. That's why it's broken. But the part number, I guess, is on the cap. But that's the part number for this cap. And then we called this number Northern Power Products. They buy a whole bunch of them, I guess. It was like $30 some instead of like $200 like on eBay and stuff like that. Probably won't ever get another one. But we replace the air filter. There's 2 different air filters. There's this kind that's, you gotta throw the whole thing away. Then there's like the canister one, then you just replace the inside. That was like 40 bucks. And then here's the carb breakdown. Just showing you kind of where everything goes. Really the most important part here is when you pull out this little, I don't know what you call it, needle, but there's a little square, or there's a spring. There's like a square or a rectangle kind of piece. And then there's a ball that goes into that hole there. That's really the only piece that comes apart that, you know, you can't put back together. Otherwise, this is just a diagram of the chains for the wheel bearings. We've done those a couple different times. We're getting pretty good at those. We should make a video of that, but we haven't yet. But yeah, you get the seal, and then we got 2 sets of bearings for each side. We don't fill up the oil all the way on both sides because it would leak a lot. So we just put enough in the bob, and that's enough to coat everything. We've had one before this with 5,000 or 6,000 some hours. Didn't have a problem with it. Now this one's up to 3, and we're still fine with that. Okay, so then we'll show you, because our old skiller didn't have this tag, so it was really hard to find. But this one has a tag still, so you can read that number. So yeah, the first one, 1189. That's the month in euros made, and the 14123 is the zenith part number, and then the L9JLHA is the Ford part number. Like Arnold's Motor Supply, you can probably find them online. You can still buy the carb. I think they're about $500. So you can do that. But then, yeah, so here's the breather cap. This was just really loose, so we just did that. Fix that so it's not as loose. But yeah, then other things, if you're surging a lot, this governor here takes like 20 weight oil that, you know, runs right off your throttle and gives that. So I'm assuming ours doesn't run, still delay a little bit because there's a little bit of slack in that shaft and stuff. And we're not gonna do that. But then you got an air line that goes here. Make sure that's good. That's the fuel line, but this little air line here. And then there's another, this one goes to your breather on the back here, and make sure that's not all cracked on that. But then make sure your fuel filters are all clean. But yep, so that's for the 3510 Gehl. I don't know what the 3410 uses. I think it's still a Ford. But yeah, then if it's a 3610, those are the diesels, or the 4610 diesels. There's a lot of banging in here, more than what the bearings usually are, because those kind of make like a clunk and you can lift it up and wiggle the tire. But what happened was this shaft here must have broke off of this plate, and then it got loose and wiggled all the other. There's like another plate on like this on the other side on the inside. And that must have wiggled loose, and then everything started jiggling loose. All the bolts got loose. So then it had to open up, and they don't sell this part anymore with the shaft on it, but they sell the other part for, I think it was like $30. But no, this was just an easy weld up. I welded the outside, welded the inside because there's a lot of space in there, and I also welded the inside and outside the other one because that broke, but it wasn't as bad as this. And this is just your adjuster for your chains and stuff. You can move it up and down. We're missing this other thing too, but you can just do it by hand. It's leaking a little bit of oil because, yeah, we didn't seal it all up because we don't really seem to have a problem with filling this whole thing with oil. There's just enough to coat all the chains to keep them good. And yeah, we ran the other one up to 6,500, didn't have a problem with that. Leaking, you can twist these up a little bit and get them a little tighter. Otherwise, you can get the seal kits. I think if you get them from Gehl, they're like 60 bucks, 70 bucks. You can get them cheaper on eBay, but I'd just rather get the right part. Because if your bucket starts going down while you're not doing anything, there's just internal leakage in there. It's really easy. You just take it off, pop it out, pulls out, replace the rings pretty quick. You can replace these pins still. if you don't grease them, because they'll get, they get sloppy no matter what. But we've done that. Those are like 30, I think. And then you can see what Spencer did here. He put these things in instead of like other clips, because these are a little stronger for the bucket there, and then we just wire tied them. That actually seems to be working better than our other, like the Sur clips or whatever we had. So if you got a problem with your bucket that goes up but it doesn't go down, we think it's a safety switch underneath your seat. See, I just bypassed it anyways. So because these bars we don't have it hooked up to this either, because we open up our gates when it's up all the time. So if that's happening to you, because what it uses is this solenoid back here, because we've had a problem with it before. But yeah, that's where your power, so it's open, so it can let your arms down, so it's a safety feature. So it could be these wires here too, or anything in between. So, but that's the safety feature for that they have for that. It was like a manure bucket, tine bucket that Gehl had, because you need these special attachments to make it work with this. But I found some forks for 200 bucks, and if you don't think you wouldn't use forks, oh my gosh, we use it all the time. All the time, way worth it. So all we did, I just welded a flat plate here and some more bracing behind here just so they can ride in, because we didn't have the mass back plate or whatever. And found another big chunk, just cut a piece out here, so then these can slide back and forth. And then we do a lot of round bales too, so then I just made, you can buy this thing for your spear that sits into, and you just cut out a piece, what was this, probably 4x4 or something like that, and I just welded it all in there. And then we only use the spear once a year to kind of, when we're hauling them all in, then I just cut a hole out in the back so you can easily put it in, put it out. So that works out good, because the other, what it's supposed to look like is the bucket over here. We don't really use it anymore, because that's really just for like thick manure and stuff like that. But that's what it looked like. So then all I kind of did was just weld the plate so you're thinking ride on it, and then you just brace it all up. So you're making that, whatever, that mass support onto this bucket.